You can still work hard and, like we discussed before, like achieve the things that you want that for you, regardless. Like you have to put your mind to it. You have to work for it. Nothing, unless you're very fortunate, comes easy. So you can achieve what you want. You know, it might take time. It might not be straight away, but the things that you want that are important to you, you can have.
So often people can reflect and regret, but it'll only get you into more shit because you can't change it.
No.
Because it's the past.
Like the skills that you've learnt from the things that didn't go right, definitely carry on through. And even most recently, I suppose, for Europe's, when I'd been speaking to you and it'd been like life's been particularly hard, and then people coming to me, well, are you really sad that you didn't win? So it took me ages to write a post about that on Instagram. It was like winning or not winning. Yeah, obviously I'd be disappointed that I didn't win, but you have to take the positives out of that performance.
While you're there.
Otherwise, you'd just be living in this regret, negative mindset all the time.
Yeah,
and it can't be like that. You can't stay there. It just breeds more negativity. It's your individual feelings about what has happened to you, so you're entitled to be upset about that. It's how you manage a moving forward part, which ultimately that's what needs to happen always. Put a plan in action to, you know, progress, even if it's just like small steps, you know, just always progressing forwards, dealing with what's happened to you on your specific basis.
You say Kirk?
Kirk, yeah.
Yeah, so he came to you saying he wanted to take his own life?
Yeah.
When was this and how did this happen?
This was about a year ago and it kind of continued.
So I just want to stop you just for one moment here. Now, I want to thank you, first of all, for the growth of the podcast. It's been absolutely amazing. It really, really has. And it means a lot for you guys to, you know, to comment, to share and to, you know, support the show, because these guys really pour their heart out, obviously, as you know. And it's something I want to help push out to people so that everybody understands that no matter who you are, where you are, what you've done, there's always weak periods in your life, but there's always strong periods as well. And talking about strong periods, I want to give you a freebie as a thank you. Go to the link on YouTube where you'll find it in the description. If you're on Spotify or Apple, you'll notice it's on Apple, but on Spotify it isn't. So there you can go to my Instagram, D-Maiden Official, and you'll find it on my bio there. But go to this and make sure you put this and implement it into your life. It will change the way you see everything. This really has re-energized myself. You know, if you're like me and you work really hard and you don't know when your down periods are and you think, I will sort them soon, I will plan something at some point, and they don't happen, this will change your life, because this is a full year plan of planning your yearly breaks. And the way that I've sort of like broke it down and everything, it is going to help you and change your life so that it re-energizes you, and it also keeps you focused on track when you're working to know exactly when your dates are that you're having down periods. Other than that, get yourself into this podcast. So Donna.
Hello.
We have you at the Lion Mind HQ. I want to call you Don, because I think you like that.
I do. Everybody calls me that. Yes, that's fine.
They've allowed you to put on your top now as well, haven't they?
Yeah, well, in actual fact, I request it. So.
Oh,
yeah.
did you?
Yeah.
It's funny because we pick up on it every time. They still say Madden for me. And can you remember at Europe's? Did you get that? Did you feel that format at Europe's?
What for
There's
your
like
bio and stuff?
Yeah. And it says, "Is there anything you want me to say?" And I put you every time you call me Madden, and I even spelt Mayden to allow them to understand how it's said.
Okay.
And he still said Madden.
Oh no, you just should be up there.
But anyway,
you're doing it wrong.
But no, Donna, thanks for coming up, down.
Down.
Down. Yes. Yeah, I know today is going to be electric because I like you as a person a lot. And I think with, you know, I know there's a lot of things that you will be able to share with people for people to benefit, and not taking away who you are in the Strongwoman world. So without me ruining your entrance, just tell people who you are, and, you know, let's be flashy and tell them what you've done and why you're such a big deal.
It's difficult for me to be flashy and a big deal. So Donna Moore, I compete in Strongwoman. I have done for over like a decade, so like it feels like a billion years in my body. And I am 3 times world's strongest woman for the open category, and now I'm competing down a weight class at 82 kilo. So done some cool stuff along the way.
When did you first win World's Strongest Woman?
2016. That was the first time it was running since the early 2000s. So that was a big deal at the time. And then that was pre-OSG.
Yeah.
The
I was
year
just
before the
talking to
OSGs.
Zach before, because obviously that was, let's say, back then, wasn't it? Like, and I think as well, what I want to say, not that you need me to say this, but I want to say this. There's a lot of category stuff at the minute. You're in the categories now.
Yeah.
But you won the biggest of the big in the women's.
Yeah.
Do you know that's? I know you know that, but I'm just pointing that out because there's a lot of focus now, isn't it, on the category stuff?
Yeah, 100%.
And rightly so, because
Yeah, I agree.
you're fucking badass, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, especially now you're one of them, so you will say that.
Well, yeah.
But you won the ultimate of the women's. So yeah.
Yes, I did.
Just want to get your head to grow a little bit, so you can't get out of the room.
It's difficult for me to think like that sometimes, but it's nice to be able to say it out loud and write it down.
Yeah, well, I want you to reflect on it, because that's exactly what today's about. But before I forget, because Zach will give me a bollocking, present for the podcast to remind us of you.
Okay, well, it's did I bring my bag in? It's all the way over here. To remind you of me.
She's got to go back to the car.
Remind you of me. I'm a little bit rubbish with gifts, to be fair. So, unfortunately, it's it's kind of like Christmassy.
Oh,
so I like
Christmas is fine.
Christmas-ish. So I just got you a Rudolph thing.
Oh.
But the reindeers, there was one called Donna, and I think obviously that's more important than Rudolph, so you can just have me as a reindeer.
Is one called Donna?
Yeah,
No.
Donna and Blitzen.
No, of course it is, yeah.
So
It's
there
the
you
song,
go.
isn't it? Oh, thank you very much. Well, I said, can I put it on the wall? But
Yeah.
I can actually. Well, I'll use this one to drink my coffee.
Yeah.
That's that for everyone to see. That's on the YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, by the way, I always say this now. Jump on YouTube if you're on Spotify and Apple. But yeah, there's my little. Is that Donna there?
Yeah, there is. It's kind of an accurate representation currently too, I think. So.
I don't think that's quite right, but that's not as strong as you anyway. But no, appreciate it, love it. I'll stick that on the wall. That at least we can get the little Donna on the wall. We've already got a few random things.
Yes, yeah, there are.
Someone actually pointed out yesterday. They can't see it on the camera, but you see that little thing on there.
Yeah. Someone
was like, "What the hell is that? Is it a butt plug?" I was like, "No."
Well, I mean, is it like a little Viking man?
It is exactly a Viking man, and hopefully Rob's listening, because Rob, who does our photos and stuff, he gave it me as a little reminder of him.
Oh, that's cute. Not a butt plug.
But it's not a butt plug. just to put that out there. But cool. Let's get into exactly where we're going today.
Yeah.
So, with your career and everything. So when did you start Strongwoman?
I think my first competition was in 2012. So it's been a while that I've been competing.
Yeah.
And I'd been going to like the gym previously to that, but I was only doing like gym classes and things, nothing particularly specific, and I was kind of new to the gym. Just to do the classes. So this kind of Strongwoman competition came about, just got invited on Facebook to come and try it, and I was like, like, why not? It looks like it's going to be loads of fun. Seen it on the TV, seen the women on the TV, more importantly, in the early 2000s, and I was like, that is cool. That is so cool. I would love to do that, but never thought I could do anything like that. But clearly, here we are.
Yeah,
we can.
Fast forward to now.
Mm-hmm.
So, just out of interest, back then, I keep saying back then like you're a dinosaur.
Cheers.
But back then, Strongwoman was completely different, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because even the short period, I mean, I've only been in Strongman, unfortunately for myself, because that's why I'm now feel old all of a sudden. But I've only been in it a short time. But when you look back, it's really funny because I never used to follow Strongman, which is crazy because people think I eat, sleep, shit it.
Yeah.
But I only just have recently. Whereas prior to that, I remember when, like, you won the Opens and stuff. It was very different, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
It really was. Like, who would have contacted you, for example, on Facebook? Because that's...
It was it was a lady in Scotland, and that's where I lived.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how through Facebook, because you couldn't even post a video. I think like my first deadlift PV was a picture. Now it was.
Well, because it wasn't videos.
No, you couldn't video it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I mean, and it's such a long time ago to be posting stuff. And I think whether it must have just been a smaller community in like Scotland and that kind of thing, and just people going to the gyms, and that's how I got invited. So it was kind of crazy. But the women that came to that competition were from all over. They were from Iceland and Germany and stuff. So the Strongwoman has been going like quietly, I suppose, in the background. And all those people have helped to get it to where it is now. I'm probably just a bit more fortunate that social media has come along at the right time for me
boost it,
and for Strongwoman now.
Yeah.
You know, essentially, because it, you know, brings like everybody's eyes to it, you know, especially recently. And at the start, there was no novice, no inters, no this, and this, you know, like
who's the strongest, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah,
it's just open. Everybody just went in together, and then there was like 2 categories, but obviously now we're into lots of different categories, which is the best because obviously it brings more people to it. But then no, it was just the same as it was for the guys, just strongman. That's it.
Just throwing a complete caveat in there. Some would argue that it's wrong because there's only one strongest. Bish always reminds me of that.
Oh.
He's always like, oh, there's category shit. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, there's only like it's the best and the biggest. I'm like, yeah, I get what you're saying, mate, but
yeah, I mean,
it's nice to be the biggest and strongest in your category.
Yeah,
like.
and 100%. And with the categories, obviously now because I'm in it, and then I'm like the age categories as well and stuff like that. You know, it only bringing more people to the sport, and you are the strongest in your category on that day.
Yeah.
So, you know, what does it matter? I know it's great. Like, obviously, I have 3 of them, World's Strongest Woman titles, so that's really nice too. But, you know, it doesn't take away from anybody else's wins in their categories. Like, Rihanna's got 3 World's Strongest Woman titles in her category, you know, as well as everything else that she does too. But, you know, so never taking it away from anybody.
No, of course. No, but I like to throw some shit in.
Hopefully
Mitch listens to it and says, boy, what are that? But no, cool. And you know, like with obviously the last thing I'll say on this, because I want to move into more about you. But you know, like with how strong man / woman's changed so much. How do you feel going from obviously opens and obviously cutting? I mean, obviously you look insane shape at the minute. You're like, when I seen you go through that transition, I was thinking, what's she doing? Do you know what I mean? Because and I remember it was a while ago now, but I remember speaking to you saying, like, where are you going? Because I remember I was thinking, what the hell is she doing? I was thinking you were coming out of Strongwoman.
Yeah.
But actually you were just cutting down to the category below. So where were you? I like to ask this to women because we said last time we got shit for asking Chloe her weight because apparently you're not allowed to ask women their weight.
Ask away.
But anyway, that's why I like to say that point. But so when you was opens, what did you weigh?
Kind of like varied. So as I started off, I was lighter, and then obviously I got bigger as like
just naturally as you got stronger.
Yeah, as most people do. So I probably topped out sometimes at coming up to like 100 and nearly 20 kilos sometimes. Yeah. You know, but then coming all the way back down to like 82. So this is easier. Well, it wasn't easy at the start to get, like, obviously the weight off and get used to having a new body, and definitely the habits and stuff like that, and also taking a bit of a hit in your strength, which is like mentally challenging, of course. But you know, it's been a better journey, and I feel much happier for it. So it was the right thing. It was the right thing for me to do. Yeah. And then, you know, like we just said about the weight classes, people saying, well, it's not the opens, it's not this. Well, to me, it doesn't matter. No.
Plus, like, you've got the opens titles.
Yeah,
like,
you know,
it's something that you can look back and go, I've done that, and now I'm not trying to talk for you, but you now you can look at it as you're a healthier version of you, if you want to.
100%,
you know?
And I think I'm more fortunate than other people, and I reflect on this quite a bit, that I've achieved everything that I ever wanted.
Yeah, so now everything's bonuses.
Yeah, everything is a bonus. A healthy body and being like happier with yourself and still being able to compete at a high level. Yeah, in that respect, and that's what I enjoy doing because that's how my brain is.
Yeah. Would you go with masters?
Probably.
Because you could do masters now, right?
Yeah, could have done it this time round, but I just wanted one more fly out in the 82 because I've worked hard to get to 82. You know, so
yeah, of course, yeah. So you want to live it through,
try and do a bit more of that and see if I'm still be like competitive at that weight class, and I think that I still am. So we'll see how the end of the year goes. It's been like a real mad busy year this year, so I was exhausted by the time we got to like 2 weeks ago.
Thrown at you. The girls have had a lot thrown at them this year.
Yeah, and it's all been new. It's like, oh, let's do Giant Slide Brits, let's do Europes, let's do this, and they've all been so close together. And then, you know, going to the teams, and Andrea and I have been in Australia in January, then we both went to the Arnold, there's some Guinness World Records in between that as well, so, you know, everything has just been a culmination of like a busy year, but it's been personal developmentally nice, you know, and lots to see to do with the sport, which is great, but it's tiring. Yeah.
And also trying to, you know, not forgetting, trying to live normal life.
Yeah, so that's been a difficult part of this year because it's just been so busy. Yeah.
You know, just because you mentioned it there, I said I wasn't going to mention anything else about Strongwoman now, but I love what you and Andrea have. Isn't it like, do you honestly, at any point hate her? Or do you know what I mean?
No.
I don't feel like you do. I think you're literally like sisters, and you constantly just push each other.
Yeah.
But do you ever get to that point where you're like, "Fuck"?
I think at the start, maybe we kind of got off to a rocky beginning.
Oh, really?
But, it's just one of those things when you don't really know someone or understand like their dynamic or whatever. But kind of as we've obviously got older, we're doing the same thing. We've been doing it a similar length of time. Like we really, really get on.
Is she around the same age as you then? And
yeah,
then
she's a
sort of
little
gone
bit younger
through-
than me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I would phone her up, she would phone me, like her bicep came off, she video called me, I think my bicep's coming off. I was like, what on earth are you doing? You know, stuff like that. So we just get on.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's lots of other good friendships as well. So Lucy, Chloe, Andrew and I have all been to OSG and we all stayed at the same place together. I drove us around and stuff like that. So they've all nearly died a couple of weeks ago by driving in America. But you know, we all get
We're on
on.
the wrong side of the road.
We're on the wrong side of the road, and I ordered a normal size car, and they didn't have any. So it was like a Jeep Wagoneer. They don't even have them here. It is so big, and I was like, "What am I going to be doing here?" And like, I work well with praise, so like every time like I was driving, Lucy would be like, "Great driving, Donna. Great job," or like, "Other side of the road. Great job for fixing that." And I'll be like, "Thanks."
Is that your first time driving in America?
Yeah.
Did you stop at the... I'm trying to think which way around it is now. At the right turning of a red light and then get beeped to go? Do you know
Well,
what
I
mean?
did, but we also had one of our other friends, Gabby. She's from America,
she's from
and
there,
and she was like, "You can just keep going when it's on this
But
side."
isn't that bizarre? You know that? Like, it's weird as fuck, right? You're at a traffic... We was at the front of the traffic lights, and everyone's beeping us to say go, and it's red. I'm like, it's fucking red.
Yeah.
But actually, you can still turn right, because obviously you're on the right side.
It's a lot, and it's the yield sign. So that was one of our like favourite things we were saying. It says like yield. So if I would like obviously give way or whatever, and they'd be like, "Great yielding, Donna," I'd be like, "Thanks."
What's yield mean?
Like just stop, like wait, you
Oh,
know,
shit, I didn't-
give
right.
way. Yeah, so that's what they say over there. So now we're like, well done for yielding. I was like,
Good yield.
that's it. And my parking like peaked with that on the first day. I got it into a space, and after that, I was like, nah, I need 4 spaces to park this very expensive giant
Side on
Jeep.
and everything.
Yeah.
You get back and you have to pay like 4 lots of parking
It was-
things because it's like you've took up that many.
It was a
places.
lot, but I was like, we had this. It was just a great wagon, so we were all like buzzing with it. To be fair, yeah.
No, love it. Cool. So when you look at your, like your upbringing and stuff, let's rewind things right back. Where did you grow up, and where was home for you as a young?
As a young person, primarily, I was born in Germany, but I grew up most of the time in Catterick, which is in North Yorkshire. You know where?
Yeah.
You know where that is. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting place.
It gives me
say.
nightmares.
It probably gives you
that
nightmares,
area.
yeah. And my dad was in the army, so I'm used to being like in an army environment. But we were there most of the time. My whole childhood was there.
So you was born in Germany because your dad was in the
Yeah.
army, yeah?
Mhm.
Whereabouts in Germany were you?
Rintel. I don't exactly know where that is.
Yeah. I went to Hono in Germany.
Germany.
Yeah.
That's
Just
as good as I get. Yeah,
Big
yeah.
enough. Yeah, cool. So you grew up there, and then how long were you there for then?
I was there until I was 19, and then I was young, got married, and moved away.
So the question is, can you speak German?
No, only like what you learn at school, which is not
I
really.
learned 0, so...
That's about it. No, nothing particularly. Spetteling, which my friend Sonny, it's like butterfly, but she says it really aggressively.
Oh, yeah, of course,
She's
'cause-
German.
yeah.
So like she would say
forget
stuff
she's
like that.
German,
Yeah, she sounds aggressive all the time.
She doesn't look German, I don't think. I
No.
always get mixed up, but yeah. But no, cool. So yeah, so then you grew up around there, got married at 19, which your son is 19 now, you were saying earlier, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's that thought, isn't it, of like...
Yes.
That's how old... would you tell him to get married right now?
No, I would not. I would not. I wouldn't really. I mean, people in different. We've just had the discussion. People in different cultures and things like that. They might do that, but I would say no.
Yeah, plain blank no.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, so when you got married, then did you? I don't know. Did you feel? You must have felt it was the right time because you was getting married. But how long did your marriage last?
Probably until I was about 26, maybe.
Okay.
It's one of those things that kind of push it out to the back. Really, it was not fabulous. So yeah.
So then, at what age did you have your first children?
I had both of them by the time I was 23. So I was.
So within that period.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so what? Obviously, because you was, I'm trying to think. You were Germany, then you moved and you got married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd lived in Catterick all my life when I was younger, and then I got married and moved to Canterbury in Kent, which is where I was for a while, and then I moved from there to Inverness, which is where I stayed. I stayed based up in there for about 10 years after that, by myself with them, because our marriage didn't work quite clearly. So
but you obviously you moved quite quick with things. How were your parents with that sort of thing? Like,
well, my dad, if you ask him, he would be like, "This is not a fabulous idea," at the start. But my mum's like, "Not." She wouldn't, it's my choice, I am technically an adult, I'm an only child as well, so fairly like independent, but I'm also makes me strong-willed. So, whatever anyone was going to be able to say to me at that particular point was not going to sway my decision process at the time.
But let's be honest, it doesn't work like that.
No.
You do what you do.
Yeah, you just live and learn, and now I've learned that with being a parent, that, you could give advice or your opinion, but essentially people are going to do what they want to do, and whether it works or whether it doesn't, that's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's true. And it is a very wise thing. On this podcast, I've repeated this quite a lot, but you've probably not heard me say it. But what my therapist always says to me, and I love the thought of it, is when you look at like your children and what you want them to do, like we can't completely protect them. We just have to try and guide them.
Yeah.
And that's that. I think you learn that as a parent, sorry, don't you? Like you realise like you can't force them to do shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have to want to do it, but you can guide them, and that's your way of expressing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's influencing them. The main things I wanted to influence them with is like, because we've been like by ourselves for quite a lot of time, but you can still work hard and, like we discussed before, like achieve the things that you want that for you, regardless. Like you have to put your mind to it. And off you go. You have to work for it. Nothing, unless you're very fortunate, comes easy. So, I've tried to instill in them that you can achieve what you want. It might take time. It might not be straight away, but the things that you want that are important to you, you can have.
It's quite tough, isn't it? Because when you think about that as a subject, what you're talking about there, it's quite tough to teach that. I came from, and it's not my parents' fault if you like, but I came from nothing, as in like. I wasn't, and when I say came from nothing, let me explain because that sounds really bad. But I didn't have things given to me. Like you hear a lot of people, I don't know whether you had this or seen this, but people get given a car for their 18th birthday. People get given, some people I know have been given businesses and stuff. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I didn't get any of that because my parents didn't have that or didn't have enough money to just throw at me.
Yeah.
So I think like when you're trying to like bring your children up, it's important that you let them know that you have to work hard, isn't it? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because obviously that's how you've grown up.
Well, I suppose like slightly on the flip side of that, because I'm an only child, I've maybe got more things than other people didn't because it didn't have to be split with anybody.
Yeah.
So that's the way I can see it. So I would be quite fortunate in that way that when I was 16, I got a scooter. I had a horse when everyone just thinks straight away, well, you must have lots of money if you got a horse, but we didn't. That was the one thing that I had. And everything, birthdays and Christmas presents and stuff was all like, what do you want for your horse? That was it. Yeah. And also it's a lot of hard work and dedication, like before school, after school, all weekends and stuff. So again, that's like teaching you to be dedicated and committed to something if you want to keep it. Like my parents didn't help me look after it at all. It was all my own doing. So, I was driven in that respect every day.
Fair play to your parents for being like that. Because that's what I mean. That's that thing, isn't it, where like people expect things nowadays. Whereas if you had that drilled in from the start, that's really, really good. Yeah.
And then before that, I would have to cycle to the stables before school or walk. And then until I was 16, and I did get a scooter. But I think that enables them as well. Like maybe if they were going to give me lifts places, they don't have to do that now. So I've always been fully independent in that way. And then fortunate, my dad was a driving instructor. So, I got that kind of aspect of that. And I know that's expensive nowadays as well. Yeah. But again, that was to facilitate my independence. So I would be by myself all the time. And it's worked. I'm used to being by myself and independent. It's just the way I've always been. I always remember just reminds me thinking that, I always remember my cousins, I used to go around to play with them. And I used to have to sit there and watch them do the ironing. Right.
And to me, that was bizarre because I was like, why, we're like, I don't know what we were, 14, 15. I'm like, why the fuck are you ironing? but they're like, I've got to do it, otherwise I'm not allowed out.
Yeah.
But to me, because of the way I got brought up, my mum just did everything for us, and do you know what I'm trying to say? That it's a completely different thing, and I was like, "What? Why are these ironing? Like, this is like slavery, but it's just, but this is real life."
It is real life, and like you'll be now like a top ironer because you're in the army. So that's the thing.
Now I hate ironing.
Yeah, and so like my son, he's great at ironing because he used to be in the Air Cadets. So you know he's got that skill. Does not iron now, however. No, he doesn't do stuff like that. If he ironed anything now, I'd be surprised. But at the time of the Air Cadets, he was a top ironer.
Yeah,
so yeah,
all in for it. Yeah, no, I love it. So. Yeah, so I guess like it went quite fast for you then, didn't it? Like from being married and children and all that sort of stuff. Do you ever reflect and I wouldn't say regret, but do you ever wish you did things different in a way, or are you that type of person?
I suppose you can. You can look at it like that, or kind of look at all the positives that you've got from what you've been through. So, like, I would probably say that I wish I maybe didn't get married at 19 and have that, but if I didn't have that, then I wouldn't have my kids. And they're like the most important things, like, to me. We've been through a lot together, just like us as our little team, so I wouldn't have had that, and they are like the be all and end all of everything, really, you know. So the way that I would be with the relationships and stuff like that, probably it would, I'd be a little bit different if I hadn't experienced all of that. But again, it's all like a learning process, isn't it? So
no, it is.
And I've lived away from home, so like I've always been self-sufficient again, so that's carried me forward in the things that I've got into, obviously, like Strongwoman, being like, you're reliant on you. There is only you. You've got all this responsibility. If you want this, you have to work for it. It's just carrying on with that, really, because like being a single parent's hard work too.
Yeah. No, you know what you just said there, been captured anyway, but that is very, very powerful what you just said. And it's actually really refreshing. And I asked that question because it's nice to know how other people see it, because so often, and hopefully this helps someone that's listening now and watching, but so often people can reflect and regret, but it'll only get you into more shit because you can't change it.
No.
Because it's the past. But then you have to, like what you said then, it's refreshing to hear you say it, you've gained this, you've gained this, you've gained this.
Yeah.
Obviously your children,
it's
something you'd never change. Do you know what I mean? But also the skills that you've learned.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you take even like the kids out of that equation so much, like the skills that you've learnt from the things that didn't go right, definitely carry on through. And even most recently, I suppose, for Europe's when I'd been speaking to you, and it'd been like life's been particularly hard, and then people coming to me, well, are you really sad that you didn't win? So it took me ages to write a post about that on Instagram. It was like winning or not winning, so yeah, obviously I'd be disappointed that I didn't win, but you have to take the positives out of that performance.
While you're there.
Otherwise you'd just be living in this regret, negative mindset all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
And it can't be like that. You can't stay there. It just breeds more negativity.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's a huge issue, let's say, in most people's lives. We all want the success. We all want the praise. We all want the best moments and everything. But if you don't accept the shit bits, do you know what I mean? You can't quite grasp how the system works.
And there's a lot of shit bits, isn't there? If you go through it all, like if something happens to family members or yourself or whatever, but you have to like learn from it, process it, move on, try not to let it happen again.
Yeah. And then ultimately, like, plan the forward steps, isn't it? Rather than dwelling on the, the amount of people. I mean, we can all pick a person, but there's just people just constantly think about what they could have done, don't they? And it's like, if only you look forward, But again, it's that natural thing, isn't it, that the brain does? And I think it's not something we can. Well, you can manage it 100%. You can't probably fix it, completely.
No.
But it's all about managing it, and that's why, obviously, I do a lot of this type of stuff, because it's. Once people are aware of it, that's how they then realise that, yes, it's a problem, or no, it's not a problem, and then they can approach the next step with it.
Yeah, 100%.
I just want to stop you again for a split second. Now, you've probably heard me talk about Line Mind X quite a lot. If you are somebody that often goes through life procrastinating and not really understanding what to do next, You have these big goals, big visions, but then you all of a sudden lose your energy and not know where to turn next. Line Mind X is here to help you plan the shit out of your next 90 days. And that is as simple as it is. We work on your next 90 days, nothing else. And that's why it is so potent and powerful. We make sure that whatever you commit to in that 90 days happens, and we really drive everything forward. We count back from the 90 days. We work out your months, weeks, your days, and even down to the things you do in the day to make sure that you are doing what you said you were going to do, and you are electrifying everything that happens throughout that period, and you're crushing your goals. So if you want to learn more about Line Mind X, jump on the freebie that's in the link below, and you will be able to learn a little bit understanding of exactly what we're about, and then you can take it to the next step if you want to. Speak to you soon. Okay, so let's go into your, I guess, like your single parent life, because you said it's been quite some time.
Yeah.
So have you've had to be, not literally be mum and dad, because that's not possible. Although, what's his name? Piers Morgan seems to have a good argument about that.
Right, okay.
But we won't go into that. But yeah, so you've had to play, that big role.
Yeah.
Obviously that's, again, developed you further, because you've had to just get on with your shit and just do it, haven't you?
Yeah, always.
Have you been through points of your life where you've struggled doing that? Because obviously it's, I've not been a single parent.
Yeah.
But do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, 'cause obviously at some points you just need some time out. You need that whole...
I think, yeah, definitely I have struggled at times, and it's more like managing everything. There's nobody there as like a backup plan, because most of the time that I was like a single parent, I was in Scotland, so I didn't even live near my family because they all lived in Catterick. So I was up there more or less by myself, and I had made friends and things, and I did have one really good friend, and like she did help me and stuff like that, but it's just you really doing all of the things. But we just got on, and I'm kind of quite chill, if that makes sense, and anything like that, and organised as well, which people would be like, I've said it before, my friends would be like, oh, absolutely not. But it is organised. It's like, might seem organised chaos, but it's my kind of organised.
No, but you're controlling the organisation, so you know where...
Yeah, I know where we need to be at what time, and, average time of getting there.
Yeah, but it's like walking in your room and throwing something on the floor. You know it's on the floor.
I do. That's right. That's exactly it.
I always say that because Sarah, she'll hate me if she listens to this, because she does listen to them as well. But Sarah always leaves stuff on the floor, and she's like, yeah, but I know where it is. It's like, I get that.
Yeah.
But
I know, so I would probably be a bit more like Sarah.
but that's that thing, isn't it, about when you're controlling your shit, like, it's only you that has to answer to it, so actually, like, you got it under control.
Yeah, and it's, at that time I didn't want to have been answering for a while, to somebody else, and that is not my actual personality.
No, of course,
so that was something else that I needed to learn as well, to be more back how I was. So it kind of doesn't really make sense, I suppose. So that particular relationship changed my personality dynamic.
Yeah.
Because I've always been, like I'd said previously, an only child, so I'm like independent, self-sufficient. I know what I want, and this is what I'm going to do about it. But that particular situation kind of took that away, from me. And I'm not sure, not to dwell on like army life or anything, I'm not sure if that has an aspect of it, because the person that you're with isn't really in control of their life either, because somebody else is handing out the orders. So it has a bit more of an impact on that, but in general, it was that particular person that made that my personality go away, because I was young, had like 2 young kids, I lived away from my friends and my home, so it was difficult to kind of like live with somebody at that age and have 2 young kids. So I didn't end up, kind of like my personality changed to that situation.
Yeah, you adapted with what was in front of you. Yeah.
Not necessarily for the way that I see it, for the best, but like we've just said before, that's the things that you've lived through that you're not going to let happen again.
Yeah. Plus, it's your way of, you wouldn't even realise it was happening at the time, but you're just surviving, aren't you? You're getting on with what you need to do to make the best for your children and everything else. Yeah. I think the whole army thing, though, obviously I've seen lots of different scenarios and things like that. But I think, like, especially when you're married and on quarters and things like that, was you in quarters?
Yeah.
That is a completely different lifestyle, isn't it?
Yes.
However, the person has to take responsibility of what they present to their family.
Yeah.
So it's trying to get a balance, isn't it?
Yes.
Like but it's tough. Like you are right. The army is in control of you, and if they say we're going to exercise, you're going to exercise. If they say you've got to stay longer, you've got to stay longer.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part. But do you feel like your children? I guess with like only having you as a parent, do you feel like they changed as well?
I don't really. No, probably I don't really know because they were really young. So they've developed into who they are mainly with me.
Through your time, yeah. So how old would they have been when you?
They were 2 and about coming 5-ish.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
So they were really young in that respect. So they've kind of they've just had me, whether fortunately or unfortunately, through most of that time. So we've just managed as best as we could through everything.
Yeah. And then talk about your children. So daughters.
Yeah, she's just turned 22.
22.
Yeah, and she's just finished uni, is qualified as a nurse. She's going to go and work in A&E. And my son's 19, and he's an interesting chap. So it's they're both very, very different. Both very, very different. Yeah.
So on the side of the daughter and stuff, then, so she moved on and working, and she knows her career, knows everything, the direction she's going.
She's like a quite driven, like focused individual, and she's a hard worker. So she wanted to go and do nursing, and she's accomplished that. So she's graduated, she's just about to finish that, and then she's got a job to go to, but she's last placement's in A&E, and that's where she'd like to work. So she's going to apply there. That's where she wants to be at now at the age of 22. So for her, for that decision, that's what she wants to do. So
where do you think that's come from? Has that come from a bit of your background of things?
I think so, because when I lived in Inverness, I worked in a hospital. So whenever I had a really great boss, I have to say, so I've been lucky in that respect. And he would just, at the end of the day, he helped me change some of my working hours, and he would let them just come up to the ward after school kind of thing, and be 5 minutes while I finished off, and then we left. So they've seen the hospital environment. We lived on the hospital estate kind of campus sort of thing at the time as well. So they've kind of been in that environment, and I've always been in care, if you want to say it like that. So she's like that in her mindset too.
Yeah, she's obviously took that same type of thing. Yeah.
Do
you think she's ready for that type of life?
Oh, Amber's like parent in this situation probably now.
Really?
I've done my parenting, I stopped that, and now Amber's taken over for Kirk and me.
No, that's
so
good.
She's in charge of.
At least people are in good hands then going forward with her job that she's doing.
I'll just say Amber took Andrea. I'll say it like this: Amber took Andrea and I to Australia in January. She took you both. Yeah, she did. She was in charge of this whole operation, and she was exhausted by the end of it, Paul.
Success?
Yeah, it was a good success. Nothing happened, and we got home. So so that's how she is. She's very grown up and level-headed.
Good on her. And then. You say Kirk?
Kirk, yeah.
Yeah. So what's his sort of what's your connection like with him?
We get on really, really well. I think we communicate well. And he's had quite a lot of mental health problems. I've discussed this with you previously as well. So our communication and our relationship bond being stronger enabled him to be able to come to me and tell me how he was feeling and about his life and not wanting to be alive, basically. So I feel that if we didn't have such a strong connection, then he maybe wouldn't have wanted to come and talk to me about that. So I think because we've been so close, it's and we've only had each other, so he still felt happy to be able, not happy, but comfortable to come and speak to me about these kind of things. So it's the different things with everybody growing up, and their different personalities as well, and the different things that happened to them at different ages. Like COVID happened to him at his exams, no friends for ages, going to school and social distancing, and all of that impacted everything at that kind of critical age, I think. So that was more of a difficult time for him, taken away from all their friends at the time that they should be sociable when they
of course
can't.
And let's be honest, we didn't know what it was doing as adults, let alone children. It was everyone went through it, so everyone has their own ways of looking at it, but it was just mayhem, really. So he came to you saying he wanted to take his own life.
Yeah.
So what When was this, and how did this happen?
This was about a year ago, and it kind of continued for a little bit. That we'd obviously spoken about that, so I won't go too much more into that. But yeah, he came to me and told me that about a year ago, and that's like the hardest thing I've ever heard. Yeah.
What? How did he actually tell you? As in, did he sit you down? Did he say?
Yeah, he did.
Most times in situations like this, there's a cry, isn't there, for help? Did you see a cry for help before, or was it quite a mature way of him talking straight to you? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think now I can see a bit more like being isolated, or maybe a bit more like erratic behaviour, that kind of thing. But and been spending quite a lot of time by himself and things like that. But and I knew that maybe he was not feeling the best. But yeah, he just came and cried and told me that. So. Yeah.
And how did you feel that moment that he said that?
Awful. I didn't really know what to do, because I don't think it's anything that you would expect or ever want to hear your child saying that they don't want to be alive anymore. Why? I don't understand. That was one of the things that I thought at the time. I don't understand why you feel that way. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
And let's go and get some help about it. So, he's open to that, getting some help. And where we lived, some young men had recently taken their own lives as well. So, it was quite a prevalent thing. Not saying it's a thing of our area, not at all, but I mean,
but
young men,
it's happening.
Yeah, young men had needed help, and they either didn't get it or they weren't able to say. So, and we talked about that, as a community thing that had happened, So I'm glad that he was able to at least be able to come to say to me, and then we were able to, get him some help.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, obviously it shows the power of what you are to him, for him to feel that he could be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because like you say, I'm sure you've done this in your own head, but you must have that thought of, if you weren't connected, what would have happened?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so obviously that just shows how powerful your connection is with him.
Yeah, and like I've said, we've just been us together. I've had other partners and stuff, stuff like that. And someone that I did have for a really long time, and him and Kirk have got a really good relationship still now, although I don't have a relationship with him myself. So he was being a good support network to him too, but through his young childhood kind of thing, it was just us. So it's not until the later part that he had somebody else.
Do you think things like this can often come from not having a dad, a father figure? Do you know what I mean? Because I always question that, because it's ultimately everyone needs a mum and dad, right?
Yeah.
And it's a tough one, isn't it? Obviously, it's the cards you dealt with. I get that, but do you feel like some things like that sometimes can come from that, or?
I'm not sure. I can't really answer that, because my daughter's perfectly fine, if that makes sense, in that respect. She doesn't feel that way, and has never felt that way. And I've had periods of feeling depressed and been treated for depression and had therapy and things like that, but I've never felt that way. So I'm not, and I had both parents and she's only had me, so I'm not really sure about the father figure part of it, or maybe I can't really even answer that. I don't know.
No, I get it. I just quizzed that because I personally think that it does.
Right.
Because I am a boy.
Yeah.
But I was a young boy with 2 women.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I went through a stage of feeling it's really hard to explain, but I felt like I was not growing up as a woman, that's the wrong thing to say. But do you know what I'm trying to say? I was growing up around too much girls and too much girly stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I seeked for that. And it must have been a natural thing, because I didn't, obviously, when you're young, you don't know what it is, but I seeked for that man. I seeked for that, because you don't look up to your mum and want to be like your mum. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
As a boy. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I always question if that's actually a thing, because I felt like that's something I went through, where I looked up for my father figure and he wasn't there.
Yeah, well,
it's a seek thing,
I mean,
it?
possibly, he did have a bit of interaction with his he would say his like biological father for a time, but then they fell out and he not had any more interaction with him ever since. So so he did have, I suppose, like a bit of a father part there, if you see what I mean, but then that kind of stopped mid-teenage, early teenage years, really, from there.
And does he choose to not speak to him then?
Yes,
is that...
he chooses not to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, like, that's one of those things, isn't it, where, like, that will always stay as a part of him.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah. And he may address that down the line.
Later on, yeah.
But, you know, at the moment, that's not a thing that he wants to address at all.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, you know, like, with you going through that stage of him, you know, obviously saying he wanted to take his life and stuff like that, what sort of things, because obviously you're going to want to do this as a mum and you're, like, panicking, but also want to do the right thing. What did you put in place to try and help that? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so obviously you can see that Kirk and I have like an open, active dialogue, and sometimes if he didn't want to talk, he's really into his music, so he'd like communicate through Spotify songs, like he'd send me some of the songs and things like this that he'd been like listening to or about how he felt. He had input from like community mental health teams and the GP and things, so he did actively participate in wanting to feel better. So that's like a good part in that. And I've just been there to support him for everything, which he knows, obviously, because he was able to come to me in the first instance that like I would support him with whatever he decided to do. You know, I would not support him in wanting to take his own life, obviously. But,
of
you know,
course, no.
we took him to hospital and things like that, as you would as a parent, as a human being, you know.
And do you feel like, obviously, that hospital side of stuff, did that help then? Is that something that was a good path for him to...
I think initially, and then I think not. I think mental health services that I've experienced with, they're quite good for a very short term. It's like 8 weeks or something, but like his problems are not fixed in 8 weeks. And then they just kind of leave him, and he's at a limbo age of, you know, being child and adult services. You know, it's different, and like bridging the gap in between those two services seems to be difficult. And then he was kind of just like left to his own devices, sort of thing, and then it kind of all happened again, and then again, until we've got to the point where now he's in like adult, you know, mental health services, getting actual support, which is definitely better, and more help with like medication and like therapy services, like more ongoing. Like 8 weeks at the start is not going to, like I've just said, not going to help anybody.
No.
And, you know, another short blast of it doesn't really help anybody. It needs to be a continuing kind of work in progress. Yeah.
It's tough though, isn't it? Because at that age, like you say, you're in the middle of child and adult sort of, but at the same time, you could pick a handful of different people, and you could say the younger ones act older and the older ones act younger sometimes, can't you? So it's quite hard to gauge how to treat somebody like that.
I think so, but I think it's like the age, it's like the cutoff. It seems to be, well, now that's how it appeared to me anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and then when I'd taken him to the hospital, he decided not to take his medication and things like this, and they were like, so why have you brought him here? And I was like, well, because, you know, he wants to take his own life again. And they were like, oh. So, you know, I had to actually say it in these like blatant, you know, these blatant terms, you know, and that's difficult because he's, you know, sitting there as well. So it's, you know, what do the people say to me when they say that, apart from, oh, which is all that they said.
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's such a tough thing because ultimately you need to be real, don't you? And I think that's the bit that they sometimes, I'm saying they like it, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but people know what you mean.
Yeah, I think like sometimes people in them situations, they're not quite equipped. They're reading off a book, aren't they? And it's like, actually, you just need to be real sometimes. And that's that bit that...
I think it's like seeing the person, you know, everything should be like holistic and a person-centered approach. And I think sometimes they kind of miss that. And I understand that services are stretched and, you know, everything's really difficult. But like for people like him in actual crisis as well, you know, it's difficult. But, you know, we've kind of worked through that and is getting better. So, you know, life is more positive, and I wouldn't be worried that he's going to do that now, as I spent about a year worrying that he was going to do that.
Did he actually ever try to do anything, or was it literally just he told you he wanted to?
I don't necessarily know that part. If he went to go and speak to them, the mental health people himself, then they would just say you need to take all medications and stuff like this out of your house. So there's quite clearly some kind of like plan in place for that. But again, I did the best that we could with what they said to me to do, but obviously wanted to talk to them separate about that, but the initial, this is how I feel and this is what I think I'm going to do.
That's enough, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, I'm just like, let's not do that.
Yeah, well, I've obviously not been there, but I spoke to other people in similar situations before where they're like, they've gone obviously all paranoid, hid everything they think they could hurt themselves with, but it's not really, it's tough, isn't it, because you don't want to live thinking like that, but at the same time you're trying to protect this person because they mean the world to you.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can do that in your home, but at the end of the day as well, he's like 18, 19, he's more than able to go round X amount of shops and buy X amount of even paracetamol and just take them all and stuff, so I'm well aware of that from the jobs that I've done before, but it's just kind of managing it and, saying, I'm here, speak to me, like, that's what it is, talk, just tell somebody, anybody, that's the main thing, but, like, I'm obviously thankful to him and our relationship that he was able to come and say that to me, and also with his like sister as well.
No, that's good. I love to hear that, because at least he that's that whole thing, is like he knows he can turn to you, because most of the time unfortunately you run away from your closest, don't you, because it's like, I don't want to let them down, I don't want to upset them, all these different things, and then people find themselves further away, don't they? But
and I mean, I hope that he would know that. I mean, obviously, I'm going to support him, but like whatever he did, he would never let me down. I would always be proud of him. So.
Yeah, but trying to think of that for yourself is hard, isn't it? Because you're like
100%. I can see that too.
It's tough, isn't it?
But hopefully that I've instilled that little bit in him that's
I would
the way
say,
they would be.
Yeah. So obviously, all throughout all this, where was you in your life? What was you trying to manage at the same time of this was going on? Because obviously this was a huge pull on your life at this point. What were you trying to do? Where were you at work? Where were you competing? All this sort of stuff.
Yeah, this is all fairly recent, kind of thing. So this has been a big year for Strongwoman as well. So I've been very busy, like trying to compete and work and do my coaching and deal with my people and everything, other dynamics in my life, as well as traveling. So it's been quite stressful and a lot to manage. And even yourself, you get to, it was like mid-year and I was like, oh, this is just like too much. Like I suppose people's trauma to them or their stresses are individual to them. So people would be like, well, this didn't happen to you, but it happened to me. So this is mine, trauma is worse or whatever. But it has to go on your individual basis and what you can personally tolerate. So it just becomes like an accumulation of stuff that's been going on for a while, that you maybe haven't noticed. So I think I'd recently things that had been coming to me, I just kind of just moved them and moved them out of the way and managed the day-to-day kind of stuff that I was going, because that was enough to keep all of that going. And then it just comes to the point where you just can't do that anymore. You can't sleep, you can't train, you can't eat. It just all just gets to you, kind of thing. So it has been quite difficult, and we'd had this conversation at Europe, so just oh my god, please, let's just
give me a break
here, kind of thing. As well as trying to be, an athlete and be friendly and happy to everybody as well, when it's all just going like this on the side. So it has been a bit difficult, let's say that.
It's a natural thing though, isn't it? I speak to hundreds of people about this stuff, and it's a natural thing to sweep it under the carpet, as that term is. And you're right, you can only do that a couple of times, because the fucking carpet is going to raise at some point because there's too much under it. Yeah,
it definitely does, and that's a great analogy. It 100% did that. It just could not carry on with anything like that. So,
But as well, something that I always think about when you just said there about different circumstances, traumas, situations for different people. It's a little bit like if you said to me, "Oh, this has happened," I wouldn't ever do this to you. But if I was to say, "Is that it?" It's not really much. It's like, but it could be huge to you and different to me.
Yeah.
And I always think of analogies because that's the way my brain works. But I always think that's like having a load of food on a table. Yeah, you go for them bits, I go for them bits.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And that is a great one as well. But I think that's trying to get the message across to people, because I feel that they be like, well, oh, mine's not as bad as what happened to my friend, so why am I so upset?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's your individual feelings about what has happened to you, so you're entitled to be upset about that. It's how you manage
Yeah,
the upsetness.
the after part,
Yeah,
yeah.
and the moving forward part, which ultimately that's what needs to happen always. You know, or put a plan in action to, you know, progress, even if it's just like small steps. You know, just always, you know, progressing forwards and dealing with what's happened to you on your specific basis.
Yeah, being realistic.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you know anyway, but my mum had a brain operation again the other day. I spoke to her yesterday, and she was really upset on the phone, and I was like, you know, what's wrong? And she said, oh, I'm just disappointed that because she's got a constant headache at the minute because she's going in for for a week or so. Although you can't see it, it's like having a broken arm, isn't it? Like, you know, she's had her brain prodded out ultimately, but she was disappointed in herself and a bit down and stuff because she still got a headache and she can't do her normal things. And you know, when you just obviously. She wouldn't have meant it the way it sounds, but you know, when you just think you've just had a brain operation.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't say this to her, but it's like, chill out.
Yes.
And stop being an idiot. Do you know what I mean? But that's obviously, I said it in a bit of a different way to that. But that's ultimately like what you need to think, isn't it? Like, you need to understand what's happened. You need to accept what's happened, and then put a plan in place to adapt to that situation rather than the perfect one.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, again, people do so often, so easily, is where you compare yourself to, you know, maybe you before or other people, you know, and it's like if you have an injury and then you carry on, and I have an injury and I'm like, well, you know, Donna's carried on, why can't I do that? You know, all these things that just jump in our head, it doesn't matter.
No, and it's just to you on like your individual basis, and like you say about how you feel about everything, and like just said about an injury. So like my bicep came off on the first lift of the first event in a competition, and then I carried on and I won because I was mad and I was like, no, that's not winning today.
Yeah.
But other people might have been like, oh, my biceps come up, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it might
and
not
on
be...
paper, if you told me that, I'd say you're a fucking idiot for carrying on.
100%. But like,
but afterwards, you were like, boom.
I was just like in a rage, so it was fine. What's the worst that can happen now?
Yeah, I was already fell off. Like,
yeah.
But no. But again, they're them situations, aren't the way it's just like, look, this is how I'm going to deal with it. But again, it's having a like I say, realization and then a plan, isn't it? Like just putting some fucking plan in place. It could be a 1% forward. You know, don't think 10% forward, 20% or whatever it is, or being perfect, because that's what everyone fucking always looks for.
Yeah, but what is perfect?
There isn't exactly. Yeah. It's just making sure that you're moving forward, isn't it? And, but yeah, obviously with your son now, then you're in a great place. Is he?
He's getting better. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously looking forward to the next steps in life. I guess as well, like one of the things that for him now, he's still learning, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's still, you know, the age he's at, there's so much to learn still, and
there's like the opportunities are all out there for him to, you know, get well, or you know, as well as he can be, and do the best that he actually can. But this has just been a little kind of blip in the road, and something that, you know, is potentially going to have to always manage throughout his life.
Yeah.
You know, stuff could keep coming back to him, you know, but if he knows how to kind of manage it, I did this when I was 19, so, you know, I can, you know, get through this again, or know how to go and seek help if you don't feel that you can do that.
Yeah, no, yeah. But ultimately, it's a warrior story, isn't it? You know, he won't see that as now, and hopefully listens to this and sees it as that, but it is a warrior story.
Yeah, he's working through
I'm not saying that to make him feel something he's not. That is a moment where in a couple of years' time he can look back and go, I got over that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
And you know, this must be the worst that he could like possibly feel at that age. You know, and you know, if he's going to get better, and like you know, he's obviously working to get better, and that's that absolute main thing. Like we said, it's the 1%, 2%. Which is then 20%, 50%, 80%.
Yeah, of course it is, and then you build your confidence, repetition, everything. Yeah, but I think a huge thing there as well is like making sure that we as people, like, and he can use this for himself, are focusing on things that like spike us up. You know, make sure that, you know, the thing I'm passionate about is this stuff. Do you know what I mean? So make sure that this is the forefront of what I do. You know, that's why I built the Line My Neck stuff, because you know, that is my focus. It's what makes me happy. It's what I know that works, and it's what I know I'm good at. So for him, it's like finding something that actually sparks him, that makes him feel him.
And at 19, he's still looking for those
Course,
those
and
kind
that's
of
the
things.
hard thing, isn't it?
So hopefully we'll find something that does spark his interest. But at the moment, it's like we've said, day to day kind of existing, or living, whereas before it was just like existing minimally.
Yeah.
And like self-care, eating, cleaning your space, so you've got like a clean like space to live in.
Yeah.
Going in the bath, getting your hair cut, trimming your beard, that he's got and stuff. Just those like small things that he totally was starting to like neglect, like self-neglect. If you're starting to be more positive about yourself and take care of yourself, then you do feel better and your environment, and then it just all builds up from there.
I can't help but think when you said that, Sarah, probably about 6 months ago, had a massive go at me because she found out that I use hand wash to wash my face.
Right.
So now even that, I've got face wash, which I never knew was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But even taking care of yourself in those things, right? You now know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's But I think that whole self-care, again, people forget about this, don't they? Especially as a bloke.
Yeah.
You just do that whole I'll cut my hair when I want. But actually, if you keep on top of all these things, it actually pays massive, doesn't it? Like, it's a little bit the reason why I've just had a hair transplant,
Yes.
Yeah. You could say it's a man's boob job or whatever, but, it's one of the things where, like, doing them things make you just feel it. I mean, it's not quite at the point where I feel better about myself yet, but it will make me feel better because I'll feel like I've got some, something back.
It's something that, it's something that you wanted.
Yeah.
As well. So I think, like, self-neglect is a big thing. If you're starting to feel, like, shitty about yourself and how you are, then the rest of it kind of just goes downhill. Whereas if you're starting to feel good about yourself and things like that, it's why people go into the gym. They see the difference in their energy levels, not even like physical levels, their energy levels. So they've got more energy to do more fun things. So therefore they have more fun because they're doing fun.
Yeah.
And it just all builds the positivity, positivity from there.
Yeah, no, it's very true. When we look at your life, I think we always say this on this podcast anyway, because it's all about looking into people's lives. But you've learnt a lot, and I think you've the thing that I look at you at, a lot is being very independent. And do you think that served you well as a person? Because it has, because it's got you where you are, right?
Yes, I think being independent has served me well, but we talked about like people, the relationships and dynamics and things that have maybe changed. And then always trying to come back to that, like, being independent personality. But it can also sometimes be a little bit negative because you're so independent.
Yes.
And you're like, no, nobody's helping me with my independence because I'm independent. And so that can be a little bit difficult. So as I've got older, then I'm still obviously, like, independent, but I'm more open to suggestion, let's say, of, like, help.
Yeah.
So...
I know exactly what you mean by that, because, not just always talk about me and Sarah. It's because when we talk about relationship things, that's what I think about. But that's how she was when I first met her. Yeah. Because she was so independent. It's funny because I said to her, I love how independent she is, but then she wouldn't let me in. Yeah. So, and that's probably, is that what you mean in that respect?
Yeah,
sometimes,
and I think so. I was with somebody before, and... I think I did let that part like be a little bit less independent, and then that ends. So you immediately go back to like default, which is independent.
So you got shot down by that, do you mean? As in, like, then you went back to that?
Yes, because, you're coexisting with somebody and everything, and then all of a sudden now you're not. So then you have to go back to being independent. So it's like my default setting of life.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So then I've been living in default setting for a while, and then met somebody who I'm with now and trying to relearn, not to necessarily be as, like, independent and stuff. But the problem is I'm also really driven. I know what I would like to do and stuff like that. But then this year's had a big impact on me. Like we've talked about my son and things like other, competing so much and everything. It's exhausting with trying to achieve the things that you actually want off the side of that. Yeah. So it's trying to, be independent and driven whilst considering other people and loads of other different things that are going around. It's very difficult to to get a nice balance, or even if it's not a balance, a manageability of it. That's
and also
difficult.
making sure that one of them isn't suffering drastically.
Yeah, and that's hard.
Of course it is. Yeah. You sound like you need my 5 flame system.
Yeah. To try and get it all in, trying to get it all in order. Yeah.
But looking at that though, obviously. When you think about, like, I built a system called 5 Flames, but when you think about all the aspects of life, we don't want any of them to suffer, right?
No.
Obviously. But as well, it's just, I think the thing is here, it's about checking in with yourself, isn't it? Like,
yes.
You know, and obviously your partner name, sorry, I don't know.
Luke.
Luke.
Yeah.
Don't want to just call him partner. But, you know, Luke, it's like Luke, like being open and honest, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, because the point of your life you're at right now, you know what you want, you know where you're going,
yeah,
and then you've got to make sure you mould, haven't you? And I think that's the big thing about relationships, isn't it?
It is, and it's like taking, because I know the things that I would like to do. I would like to just do my coaching as my job. That would like
full-time,
to be and do my competing for the time that I've got left to do it, whilst the sport's still growing, and I still would be able to have an impact on it, if that makes sense, and still have more people, I've seen you do this sport, so I want to do it too. Like, that's the biggest compliment anybody could ever say. So, you know, that using those kind of things as well to like build your coaching business, because that's what I want, like I say, I want to do, and getting in the right directions. It's, you know, there's a lot going on. So the independence, I suppose, going back to that, has served me well. It's just channeling it all into the things that you want.
It's just that next layer now, isn't it, of understanding.
And then, like you said earlier on about people and their 1% and 5% and leads on to more percent, you know, it's always, everybody's always a work in progress, you know, as well as, like you was trying to say, spend time with people that you love and have fun. That was one of your posts today, wasn't it? About, you know, like still having to have fun with the things that you do.
Yeah. I find it hard because it's not the forefront of my mind, but I know that I need to put the pressure on myself to make it.
Yes.
Like, we've seen probably about 55 Santas in the last month.
Yes, yeah.
Because we're trying to do all that, so, you know what I mean? Like, but sometimes that can feel overwhelming, can't it? But at the same time, I always look at it like this, or recently started to look at it like this, that although it's a lot and it's exhausting in a way, you're not exhausting the same pot, if you want to call it that. So, you know, like your workspace, your grind, the hustle of what we do, you can ultimately use the same words, grind and hustle, and, you know, in the family stuff, but it's a different level of energy. Do you know what I'm
it
trying to
definitely
say?
is. And I think we'd be like a similar personality if you're very driven and goal orientated for the things that you want. That kind of maybe takes a bit of a side seat, but like you say, it's channeling that in to get all of your vibrational frequencies, you know, for want of a better word, I like a vibrational frequency. If everything's all vibrating at the same level, then everything's going nice and smooth, like you say. When they're all, you know, they're out of balance, then it just doesn't work well. But it's, you know, having the energy to expend on relationships, business, athleticism, you know, sport, things like that, as well as, you know, your family pursuits.
Yeah, no, it's true. And for fuck's sake, there is no perfect one.
No,
that's the thing
there
isn't. And,
right? You know, we said about people comparing themselves to other people, and it really is like the thief of joy. That is definitely true. Because you might see, and social media as well, because people only post what they want you to see. So you might be saying, oh, this person has their ideal life, but it won't be like that. You know, it's just, you know, what's right for you, and it's deciding that.
Yeah,
and
no, it's true.
A big thing.
I quote this quite a lot, and it's sitting behind you, but there's a parrot on the wall, and that's my like my recent therapist I work with on the ADHD stuff. She always explains about the parrot, saying how like the parrot's going to chat shit all the time.
Yeah,
and it's you know, when you think about that, it's really quite important, isn't it? Because I actually said to her, like, can I shoot the parrot? And it's not an option.
Right.
And it's true when you think about it. Like, you always got this parrot that's just chatting shit. So don't shoot it, just manage it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's why I always think about when you're going through all these things, like, oh, so-and-so's got this under control and you haven't. Or, you know what I mean? Just the shit talk that comes into your head. It's like, it's fine because we've all got that, and we've all, you know, like you say, as long as you're focusing on the bit you can do rather than the bit you can't do, then you're always going to move forward, aren't you?
100%.
Regardless of,
I would agree with you,
how tough it is. You just have to lean into it sometimes.
Rather than saying like I can't do this because, well, I can do this.
Yeah.
Because.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Show the positive rather than the negative part of it. So, with your competing and everything now, what's next for you? Like, where are you going? Obviously, I know you expressed that you want to move full-time into coaching and stuff.
Yeah.
How far away is that for you? Or is that not really
I'm going to try
something...
and make, well, I am, there we go, go with that for the new year.
Cool.
So not really that long.
Yeah.
I've been, you know, thinking about this for quite a long time, and then, like we just say, it's like taking the action to do that. So that's like an action that I am doing. If you don't try, then you don't know. So,
yeah.
you know, have to try and make that, or I'm going to make that work out.
So there's a bit of a live accountability for you. Everyone's listening.
Yeah.
When are you going to have?
Yeah, in the new year. Start all that into the new year. And competing, like, obviously Strongwoman's taken a big rocket, you know, full. So I am at the Arnold, both of them, Columbus, Ohio, and the UK Arnold as well, for the however it's working out. Both of them in March.
Nice. Are they both in March?
Yes. One's at the first weekend in March, and one's...
In fact,
like
I think, Lucy might have said the same.
Yeah, because Lucy's at both of them, as well. So I'm in a fortunate position that I've been invited to both of them. And, you know, they are really heavy for me, and probably not the best all the events, but, you know, I'm going to go and represent myself as best as I possibly can, as always.
And it's always these challenges is what makes us work harder, right?
100% it is, yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously, other than that, you've got a couple of giant shows, really, haven't you?
Yeah, Giants Live, Britain's Strongest Woman will be, that's June. I'm pretty sure there'll be an OSG Europe somewhere as well. And then whether I go to the OSG at the end of the year again for Worlds of a weight class or an age class, who knows yet. We'll see. We'll see.
You know, now Giants is becoming more focused around the girls.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to OSG Worlds as well? Is it? Do you know what I mean? What's more? I mean, I'm not getting you to slate the shows here.
No, well, they're both kind of the official strongman.
Yeah. But what feels more the? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because the way the Britons, you know, stuff like that, that's fucking badass, right?
Yeah, it is. So
you can't take that away from.
No, not at all. It's like the best experience, and to be a part of that, to show like women's strength sports, like solely standing alone by themselves. What can be better than that?
That's what I mean.
You know, so
and that's not taken away from.
It's not taken away
OSG,
from the OSG at all.
Yeah.
Like I've got two more titles from OSG, so you can't knock that at all. And for the weight class representation, absolutely, of course. But being part of that Giants Live and the stacked class, the amount of depth of field that we have in the UK is huge. Yeah. So it's amazing to be a part of that. Yeah. As well.
I guess you just got to see where it goes, haven't you? Like rather than saying you won't or you will, or just see where.
Yeah. There'll be the Giants Live, and I'm assuming that there will be a team competition at the end of the year. I don't know whether I would be in that yet, but Giants Live, Britain's Strongest Woman. Then we'll be going there. Yeah.
And then, so you'll transition fully into coaching, and that will be how you'll.
That's what I want to do. That's what I've been wanting to do for a while. I just wasn't really a possible thing with lots of other different things going on. It wouldn't have been like a sensible decision, and I wouldn't have had the right mind frame to be able to commit to such like a big change at that time. So now I feel like everything's more in balance,
in place,
and I'm able to make more of a commitment to that. So we've done our few percents throughout the year just to keep going, to make everything better, and now I feel like here we are, we can do that.
2 foot jump.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So on that note, like obviously happy for you to plug yourself. What can you do if people want to work with you? What are you focusing on?
Primarily focusing on like Strongwoman coaching, basically, from whether they're just starting out and you want to try, or if you're going to be competing at like your national level. Within like Strongwoman, have got a lot of experience to offer, and kind of been through it all, from competitive like mindset stuff as well as actual like training for Strongwoman. So those are the kind of like primarily women as well, which don't take it away from the guys, but like I just prefer working with women.
No. Thing is, it's one of the things I say about the line my neck stuff. Like me being a man, I want to talk like a man to men. Yeah. It's not that you're singling.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, but it's true as well, isn't it? Like there's no better way to look up to someone that's done what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big part of your, what you're inspiring people to do as well.
Yeah. So that's what I'll be looking forward to doing in the new year.
Yeah, love it. Well, good luck with your business and stuff.
Thank you very much.
And obviously, guys, if you want to work with Donna, or Don, jump on and look at what you do nutrition as well. Actually,
no, I have somebody else that takes care of my nutrition for me.
Yeah, but again, that's something you can help. Like Jesus, you've transformed yourself through that.
Yeah,
so it's something that, as an experience thing, again, if anyone's looking at your transformation, like then again, it's something that will highlight for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it was hard work, but totally worth it.
Yeah. And you reap rewards now.
Yes.
But no, thanks very much for today. It has been amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people follow you on socials?
Mainly just at the moment is Instagram, Donna Strongwoman, and I can pick up messages through that at all.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then you will be on podiums in the future for people to watch as well.
Let's hope so, yes.
We'll see you on the big screen.
You will.
But no, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love it.